Good morning, class. Today we take up a new chapter in civics, making a living and how in rural and urban livelihood. Now, before we begin, we need to understand the meaning of the chapter, making a living. What does that mean? That means taking up any profession or work which can give you some money so that you can live your life, have food, you can have shelter, protection. Please switch off your mic, please. And rural livelihood. Rural livelihood means the work or the jobs taken at the village level. Then urban livelihood, that means those works that are taken up by the people living in towns and cities. So the chapter's name is Making a Living, Rural Livelihood and Urban Livelihood. We begin. Every citizen needs to take part in the services, in the activities that take place in our families, neighborhoods, schools, society, etc. Civil life is not possible without cooperation. Cooperation helps individuals to make progress. Everywhere, whether in urban or in rural areas, we find people doing one job or the other in order to make both ends meet. So now they are talking about the life that we have, the activities that we do within a family limit, with our neighbors, etc. In school, how do we behave and what do we do? And then in a society. So everywhere we can only make progress. An individual can only progress if he or she works in cooperation. For a small little thing also we are dependent on so many people. Like for early in the morning, the first thing that you get is the newspaper, and that you get from somebody else, newspaper seller. Then the milkman comes, then the sweeper comes, then within your house the kamwali bai comes. So all are interdependent. We all work in cooperation, and it is only when we work in cooperation that we are able to live to our fullest. Then they talk of the urban work that we take up or the rural work that we take up to earn our living. First, we talk of rural livelihood. Rural livelihoods, rural is village. Livelihoods means what work do they take up to earn their living. So there are different types of livelihoods prevalent in villages. The things that we do in villages, let's see. In rural areas, people live together, together, and cooperate with each other, but they have different jobs of their own. In rural areas, agriculture is the most important job. We all know that most of the villages, even till date, they are mostly dependent on agriculture, and most of them in the village are farmers. People are usually, most of the time, farmers, right? There are, however, other people who follow other different occupations. Now, what these could be, such as those of shopkeepers, blacksmiths, potters, weavers, carpenters, barbers, tailors, etc. All of them fulfill the necessities of the villagers. They do their jobs which are helpful for others. So again, the concept of cooperation comes. They all, if everybody in the village is a farmer, then who will look after the dairy products? Who will look after the shops and the requirements needed there? So there are different people taking up different jobs and working in cooperation as and when the time is needed. Now there are different types of farmers. In rural areas, the people are mostly farmers, but all of them are not equal. Different economists have classified farmers in different ways. Started doing the same thing. No problem. Keep doing it. So there are large farmers, then middle sized farmers, small sized farmers, and landless farmers. So these are the various categories. Now the farmers who own more than 5 hectares of land, huge lands they have, more than 5 hectares. Those are called large scale farmers. Then those who own between 2 to 5 hectares of land, they are called middle sized farmers. And those who own land less than 2 hectares are called small farmers. Then some of them are landless, who do not have their own land even. So such farmers are called landless farmers. Now, many large-scale farmers who own more than 5 hectares of land do not work as farmers themselves. They give their land to other farmers on contract and share the produce with them. They also engage landless farmers and pay them either in kind or in cash on half yearly or annual basis. So it is a barter with them. You work in my field, and in return, I'll give you a little sum of money, maybe in cash, or I'll give you in kind. That means whatever is produced, I'll give you a little portion of it. So these large scale farmers, they do not work most of the time themselves, but they keep small farmers or landless farmers in their farms. Okay. And when we talk of middle sized farmers, they are the ones who own between 2 to 5 hectares of land, and mostly the work on their fields are and they do their work on their own and grow crops for themselves and their families. This type of farming is called subsistence farming. That means you're doing it for your own living, where the main production is consumed by the household of the farmer. These underline subsistence farming. This means the middle-sized farmer has only that much of land in which he can produce things for his own family, for himself. Such farmers usually use the traditional tools, but sometimes they hire tractors and harvesters. They grow food crops such as wheat, barley, maize, bajra, rice, etc. So these are the basic crops which they grow for their subsistence, for their living. So please underline these names of the crops: wheat, barley, maize. And then we talk of the shopkeepers. The shopkeepers in villages, they are the in villages, they are next to the farmers. Shopkeepers also play a part in fulfilling the needs of the villagers. They sell different daily use articles such as food items, grocery, stationery, hosiery, medicines, etc. So people purchase the daily use materials in cash, while some of them future. So the payments, since the farmers are not up to the mark, they are not having a standard living and standard life. So many a times they go to these shopkeepers and they buy things on credit, and many a times they buy things by giving cash also. Naturally, those who buy the things on credit have to pay more. Obviously, when you're not paying for the amount right now, that means interest will be charged on you and you would be asked to